Hello everyone, I am Vishal Salsekar and today we are going to discuss the News Today articles of 11th of October, right? So in today's discussion, we are going to cover 5 important articles in detail. The first one is the Foreign Minister of Afghanistan visited India. So there was high-level meeting, or we can say one of the first high-level meeting between India and Afghanistan since Taliban took over Afghanistan again in 2021. So we'll discuss regarding the importance of Afghanistan. The next article is regarding the draft overseas mobility, facilitation and the welfare bill of 2025. We will discuss the provisions of this bill and how this particular bill is going to improve the migration related scenario of Indians abroad. Next is roadmap for the job creation in the AI economy. So already multiple discussions we have done regarding the artificial intelligence, but then there has been certain specific recommendations by Niti Aayog in the context of the job creation in the AI economy in the changing atmosphere, right? So we will discuss in detail regarding this. Next is regarding the GEI Target Rules, which is regarding the emission intensity, right? So with respect to this, we will discuss that which are those particular sectors and what are the changes that are being done regarding the carbon credit mechanism. The last in this is regarding the microfinance sectors in India. We will discuss the importance of microfinance sector and we will discuss also the issues pertaining to this particular sector. Lastly, we will discuss the places in news, and here we are going to cover regarding the Barbados, and then there are certain other quick updates. So let's start the discussion with the very first article regarding the foreign minister's visit of Afghanistan to India, right? So from the perspective of, again, from the UPSC examination, international relation, so the India and its neighborhood country, because Afghanistan is one such neighborhood country of India, and apart from that, even the bilateral, regional and the global groupings and the agreements involving India or affecting the India's interest. So from these perspective, this article is going to be very, very important, and already a lot of things are already happening in the India's neighborhood, whether it is the protest movement, whether it is any kind of issues. For example, there have been certain issues going on already between Afghanistan and Pakistan. So we will see how this particular dynamic is playing and how this is going to impact India's relation with its neighborhood. Also, we are already discussing a lot about the China and its policies in the India's neighborhood. So we will discuss about this. So now what are the importance or the key highlights of this particular visit? Because we can say that from 2021, since Taliban 2.0 had again taken over the Afghanistan region by displacing the earlier government, so there have been certain issues. So 2021 mein what India had done, the consulate that India was having in the Afghanistan, now that was stopped functioning, right? India had a lot of investments in Afghanistan. More than $3 billion ka investment India had done in Afghanistan, whether it is health, education or developmental projects like the Salma Dam. Now in that particular takeover may it was very, very difficult in order to continue with this project. But then India realized that yes, we need to ensure the cooperation or to some extent the negotiation or dialogue with the Afghanistan, whoever is ruling Afghanistan, because the problem is that we have already seen one such disaster in the form of IC-814. So we do not want to repeat that particular event again, where we did not got any specific support from the then Afghan government or then government who was ruling in the Kabul, which is the Taliban 1.0 in the wake of the plane hijack. And in that case, now we realized, and that's why from 2022 onwards, there was a technical mission that has been established in Afghanistan, which is in order to cooperate, which is in order to ensure that whether the Afghani soil is not being utilized by certain actors against the India's interest. Now in this particular scenario, this visit of the Afghani foreign minister was very, very important, because in this particular meeting, there have been this technical mission that have been upgraded now to the full embassy. That means the diplomatic discussion and the dialogue can be now full-fledged. The ambassador can be appointed by Afghanistan to India, and that can be having the embassy in the India or in the New Delhi specifically. And even the India's ambassador now can go as the ambassador in Afghanistan. There will be comparatively better cooperation, because from 2021 onwards, that full-fledged cooperation is somewhat lacking. Apart from that, they talked about coordination in order to combat against the terrorism, because see, it's not only India which is facing the issue of the Pakistani terrorism, it is even in the Afghanistan, because there have been a lot of attacks that were done by the Pakistan in the territories of Afghanistan. That's why the combating terrorism in all the forms have been talked about in all forms and all the manifestation. The next is also about the India-Afghanistan air freight corridor. So basically it is the air connectivity in terms of the supply of the goods from India to Afghanistan, mainly the essential goods and the commodities, right? So in the previous government, when the Afghan Taliban 2.0 has not taken over in 2021, that point of time, maybe India was doing a lot of developmental support and India was operationalizing this particular air freight corridor. But in the wake of the turmoil in Afghanistan, that particular air freight corridor was not operational in that particular manner. But now they have discussed about that this air freight corridor can be further utilized in order to get the full potential in this particular regard. And further, there will be certain negotiation in order to find the alternative routes. One such route is already available in the form of Chabahar port. The next is, because India is considered to be very, very important from the perspective of Afghanistan, and they also know and they also recognize the importance of India. The reason is very simple, that they do not want to act as a puppet of China. When the China has established the full-fledged diplomatic relation with Afghanistan, when China is entering deep roots within Afghanistan, Afghanistan do not want the sole country to get all the resources. That's why Afghanistan is inviting India in order to explore the mining opportunities in Afghanistan. So these are the areas of cooperation in Afghanistan that were being talked about. Now the recent engagement has been multifold, or we can say that has increased multifold in the recent time period. Now what are those particular factors which are leading the India's increasing interest in Afghanistan and also Afghanistan's interest in India? Because to some extent we can say, whether it is culture, whether it is connectivity, whether it is religion, these two regions was comparatively integrated. One such integrating factor was the Buddhism, another was the Kushan dynasty, and specifically the ruler like Kanishk, right, which is having the relation with both the countries like Afghanistan and India. So, and common religious linkages also, because the Ashokan inscription was also found in the region of Kandahar and the nearby region. That's why there have been importance of Afghanistan from the India's perspective since time immemorial. But now there have been further increase in the interest in the region of Afghanistan. So first in this is regarding the advancing the national interest and the security concerns. So see, having deteriorated relation, it can be leading to Afghanistan might be utilized by anti-India factors, specifically Pakistan in this particular case, in order to utilize Afghanistan against the anti-India interest, maybe the radicalism, right? And those particular terror outfits can utilize Afghan as the launch pad, and in that particular manner, obviously the relation between India and Afghanistan is going to get deteriorated. The next is regarding the countering regional influence. Now see, in the regional aspects, which are the countries of prominence, one such country which is our adversary is Pakistan, another country is China. Now if these countries are having deep roots within Afghanistan, it is going to hamper the India's relation with Afghanistan. And you might have already heard of this particular thing, which is the trilateral. Right, so recently China had held the first trilateral where there was Afghanistan, there was Pakistan, there was China. So India want to counter this narrative because recently Afghanistan has joined the BRI. So Afghanistan also do not want to completely dependent on China. India also do not want the same. And that's why India ke liye it is very, very important in order to go towards Afghanistan, have comparatively harmonious policy towards Afghanistan. Next is the geopolitical shift. In the context of geopolitical shift, again, it was created, the Taliban, which had taken over in 1996 or late 1990s, we can say that that particular region may, it was perpetrated or it was created by US and the Pakistani policies, right? So initially it used to be the puppet, but now the Afghanistan may, they are posing that they are the true people of Afghanistan. That is the Afghan-led and Afghan-developed solution in order to govern Afghanistan. Now, in that case, what is the geopolitical shift? There have been issues between Afghanistan government, which is Taliban, and Pakistan because of the migration issues. Apart from that, even there are chances that if China is trying to go further inroads in the Afghanistan, that Afghanistan will not like it, right? And in that particular scenario, it paved the way for the India to get comparatively better advantage of this. Next is the building goodwill and the trust. Already India is having more than $3 billion ka investment. Health, education, developmental project, power, a lot of other things are there, including the pipelines like Tapi pipeline. So in all these cases, this is going to help. And also the culture related things, cuisine related things, the goodwill that India enjoys in the Afghanistan, whether it is cricket diplomacy, which is not to be forgotten because it is very, very important thing in order to boost the relation between these two countries. Now, what are the concerns? See, there are few concerns also because right now the regime which is ruling in Afghanistan, which is the Taliban 2.0, we can say that there are certain issues that obviously it is not elected government. There is no major issues that was being posed or that were posed by the people who are the resident of Afghanistan, but it is to some extent lacking the international legitimacy as of now. Apart from that, whether it is the concern of the human rights, which is the Western construct, but yes, to some extent the human rights wala thing is a issue. The rights to the women is a issue, right to child is a issue, right? So these particular things which are the concern which is also pertaining right now, if worked upon, that will provide further holistic rule of Afghanistan mein Taliban ka in this specific sense, right? So this was regarding the Afghanistan related article. Now see, when there was turmoil that started in Afghanistan, in 2022, UPSC had asked the question regarding this, that which of the following borders with Afghanistan. So this is the tendency of UPSC, that whenever there is any specific region that is in news, they keep on asking. Next year, they asked the question regarding the Ukraine. So whenever the conflict is there, or the conflicting zone is there, or any major issue is there with any specific geography, they can ask the question. So post the answer in the comments for this particular question. Very easy. Next is regarding the Ministry of External Affairs invites comments on the draft overseas mobility, facilitation and the welfare bill. Now see, again I want to give you a caution over here. It is still a draft. Now draft is to be discussed. There will be certain comments that will be there. There will be certain suggestions. There will be certain changes in this particular bill. And eventually when it will be enacted, there might be certain changes in this particular bill when it will become act. So when it will become act, again it will become more important. But right now, as this particular mobility bill is there, we have to discuss a brief idea regarding what this particular bill is all about. So from the perspective of UPSC, GS paper 2, government policies and intervention, then GS paper 3 from the Indian economy and the issues related to employment, because it is concerning the Indian people going in the other countries and getting the employment, also keeping in mind that their welfare, health, all these things should also be taken into consideration. Now, what is the objective? So, there was already a Emigration Act of 1983. Now, see, when 1983 mein this Emigration Act was there, outside opportunities ke context mein if you consider, generally these opportunities were very few. Specifically, let's say the oil sector, because that was the time period of oil boom, and specifically the region if we talk about, that was the Gulf region. But after that there was the IT sector boom. Apart from that, there is a lot of collaboration, and presently when we talk about whether it is semiconductor, whether it is high skilled jobs, whether it is, let's say, the H1B visa, it is India is the largest country which is supplying the people to the countries like United States. So we can say now from the laborers to the people who are the high skill or the high end skilled people, now they are migrating. That's why there was a need in order to change the things, whether from the perspective of social security or any other thing of those people who are migrating. That's why this particular bill is being talked about. Objective is to consolidate and amend the laws regarding the Indian citizens accessing the global workplace, because the globalization has increased multifold, and in that sense the opportunities has also increased, and in this particular manner, if those opportunities have not been utilized sustainably, India might lag behind. So in that case, there was a need for the robust and transparent framework in order to ensure the safe, legal, orderly and the regular mobility. So all these things is going to get ensured through this particular updated act, which is regarding the mobility of the Indians abroad. Now, when we talk about, obviously it is going to help Indians to utilize the new opportunities. Now see, which are the new opportunities? This is there in the sectors of artificial intelligence, cyber physical system, then the cyber security, then there is the space sector, then there is health, multiple other sectors which are there where India is contributing significantly. That's why it is important in order to ensure a updated policy. And also one such issue with the previous policy, that there are certain loopholes and that were being utilized by the people who are promoting the illegal migration to the people through the different routes, which is obviously not the legal routes, and in that cases multiple issues are there. So in all these sense there was a need for the updated policy. Now what are the key highlights of the updated policy? Let's discuss about this one by one. So the first important aspect that we can discuss is the Overseas Mobility and the Welfare Council. So in order to ensure the better enactment and proper aspect regarding this particular act, कि इस act के provisions implement हो, this Overseas Mobility and the Welfare Council, which is a national level council which is going to implement this particular act. Now, what is the purpose? Again, in order to ensure that whether this particular act is getting implemented or whether there are any specific issues, so in order to ensure the grievance redressal. Now, who is the chairperson of this particular authority? It will be the Secretary of the Ministry of External Affairs, will be the ex officio chairperson. So, by being virtue of the Secretary of Ministry of External Affairs, he or she will be the ex officio chairperson. Next is regarding the mobility resource center. So at the state level, the states which are having comparatively higher number of people who are going outwards, or where the mobility is high, where the migrants are comparatively high, so in those particular states there will be the mobility resource center. Now the purpose of this mobility resource center, in order to make the people aware regarding the capacity building, regarding the provisions, regarding all the things which is needed from the immigration's perspective. So it is to provide information, to provide the resources, like what all things that will be done before moving out of this particular country and getting the opportunity in the other country. All these things will be provided from this resource center, and also the training to the people in order to get certain skills in order to move outwards. Next is the integrated information system on mobility. So we can say this is basically a digital portal which will be having all the integrated data regarding the information on the mobility. It will be updated on a real-time basis. So this will be a real-time basis data update regarding the mobility and in order to track the people, so that there will be not such issue with respect to the illegal immigration. Then the policies and measures to counter the irregular immigration. So many a time we have heard that either the people were taken in the form of trafficking or maybe through illegal means from one country to another country, and this happens with India also, that Indian people or the laborers are taken out illegally. So in order to curb all these practices, there are provisions and also the grievance redressal mechanism available in this. Apart from this, there is a accreditation for the overseas placement agencies. Now these are basically the companies which have to get accreditation from the authority provided in this particular act. And what will be the role of these particular placement agencies? These will ensure that the Indian people or the laborers who are going to get employed in any specific company or with employer, what is the background, whether there is any kind of issues that are going to take place, whether they are going to get the fair wages, उनके साथ कोई discrimination तो नहीं होगा. All these things is the responsibility of this body, which is the placement agency, and that placement agency has to take the accreditation. If that agency is not able to fulfill its mandate, and if the people are still having issues, people are not getting their due, whether compensation, leaves or any other thing, there will be even the penalty ka provisions that is there, and the high penalty is imposed on them if they are not doing their particular task properly. So all these are the provisions that are the base provisions that are being provided in this particular draft policy. Now again, once this will become act, it can be again there in the news and that will be again covered. But for now, this much is okay to go, and this is the idea in order to provide you an idea regarding what will be the structure of this particular act. Now the previous year question, obviously not directly related, but yes, discuss the changes in the trends of the labor migration within and outside India in the last 4 decades. 1983 में वो एक्ट आया था, right now there have been discussions and talks going about this particular immigration related or the mobility related act. So in that cases mein obviously there may be a question that can be asked regarding what was the need and what kind of changes or suggestions that can be done in order to improve the present structure. So this kind of question can be asked. Next article is regarding the Niti Aayog releases a roadmap for the job creation in the artificial intelligence economy. Now see, there is artificial intelligence, there is economy wala aspect also, obviously general studies paper 3 which includes the economy wala aspect, and apart from that science and technology which includes the artificial intelligence and the other emerging technologies. From all these perspectives this article is very, very important. Now GS paper 2 also, government policies and the intervention for the development of various sector. This is again important from exam perspective. Now when we talk about AI, it appears to be a double-edged sword. What is a double-edged sword? Matlab, it is going to create a lot of opportunity, but on the contrary side, it is also a issue in itself because it is going to do a lot of unemployment also. This is the potential aspects that will be there. So there are potential job losses also, because many a time what redundant tasks previously used to be done by the human being, and obviously they are getting their due wages, but in that sense now when these repetitive tasks is being done by the artificial intelligence tools, in that case don't you think so there is going to be a lot of unemployment also? But then there are certain observation that says ki there will be a lot of new opportunities that will be emerging as a incoming of the artificial intelligence. So there will be potential job losses, but also the chances to create roughly 4 million new jobs. That is being reported by many such agencies including Niti Aayog. So when there is a question, you can utilize this kind of data, that the chances are that it can create new 4 million jobs in different sectors, right? Now when we are talking about obviously the challenges pertaining to the artificial intelligence, there can be these 3 headers under which the challenges can be divided. The first important challenge related to the artificial intelligence is the massive job displacement risk. What is the massive job displacement risk that artificial intelligence is going to do? Because again, as I have told you, that there are many repetitive and redundant tasks that can be reduced in the age of artificial intelligence. So there are chances that roughly 60% of the formal jobs can be lost roughly in the next 5 to 6 years because of the artificial intelligence developed at the full-fledged scale. Now, in order to ensure the stability in the society, we need to provide the alternative employment also. Otherwise, there will be certain chaos in the society. So in that case, there is susceptible to the automation by 2030. So these are the issues from the perspective of the job displacement risk. What are the other risk? Other risk is the gap in skill. So we are talking about that artificial intelligence is basically the task of the skill. Now in that case, there is a regular need for the upgradation, upskilling, reskilling in all different sectors jahan par there will be deployment of the artificial intelligence. Now in India, what issues are major, that many such times it is observed that there have been a issue of lagging behind the specialized aspect of the artificial intelligence, and redundant aspect in the context of artificial intelligence is being utilized. And in that case, what is happening? That particular thing is leading to the repetitive task only, even with the artificial intelligence tools. तो जो प्रोडक्टिव टास्क होना चाहिए, which is like creation of the separate module itself, that particular thing is as of now missing. Apart from that, research intensive AI courses. See, there are a lot of AI courses, but then research intensive courses which will help people to get the real time aspect of the artificial intelligence, the changes that are being incorporated, and how we can ensure the sustainable utilization of the artificial intelligence, those things. Apart from that, the curriculum is also not that much discussing the artificial intelligence, and here the retrieval augmented generation, which is certain aspect of the certain new things as far as the AI is concerned. So generally what happens, that let's say assume the AI as the database, ki bhai there is a database, whenever you will ask some query, it will check in the database, it will give a predefined response Based upon that, now the AI in the form of the LLM, large language model, has improved a lot, and then that is talking about the retrieval augmented generation. So when they are taking certain data from you, when you are giving certain content data, it is updating its memory. And what it is doing, basically it is checking through multiple resources in order to get the authenticity, in order to get the validation, and then it is providing you the response. So in that particular manner, that is also to some extent missing from the Indian curricula. Lastly, AI talent supply demand gap. So this is also one such issue that, see, there is demand in the artificial intelligence sector, but then the supply is not adequate. So what is happening, that roughly if we are saying that there is the demand of 100, we are only able to supply 50 professionals as far as the need is concerned. And in that particular cases, again, when the need is high, the supply is low, obviously they have to rely on the other people who are having comparatively better competencies. So these are the issues as far as the artificial intelligence sector is concerned. Now, when we are talking about the artificial intelligence, it is fundamentally impacting the how the work is being done. So first of all, the work nature is getting changed, then which is changing the role of a worker, because if the nature of work is changed, so in that case, obviously you are not expected to do the repetitive task again and again. So from your side also, the nature of the worker now, it is to check further deep into this, to further utilize the artificial intelligence in order to enhance your productivity. And when this is going to change, the entire workforce ka structure, which was previously dependent on the redundant task more, now it is more towards the deeper research. So it is going to change the work, it is going to change the aspect of worker and also the workforce. So in the work, it is going to automate the routine task, right? So a lot of routine tasks are going to be the automated, productivity going to be increased, okay? Complex problem solving capabilities will be there. What changes it will lead to the worker? It will reshape the roles, requiring the new skill set, phasing out certain old jobs, right? Creating the entirely new one. And then these worker wala thing is going to change the workforce. So workforce become hybrid, jahan par there will be artificial intelligence, which is also doing the task, and human, which is utilizing the artificial intelligence. But it is a hybrid one, which will be integrated into a comprehensive team. So basically, aisa nahi hai ki only human is doing task or only AI is doing. It is not going to take place that entire system is going to be replaced by the artificial intelligence. There will be a need for human in order to ensure that that particular AI is being utilized in a proper manner, right? So this is a change. So this kind of flow chart, obviously not exactly like this kind of cyclic flow chart you can utilize in order to get certain better marks and better presentative aspects in the exam. Now, what has been the recommendation that were provided by Niti Aayog? So the Niti Aayog said that first we have to establish the India AI Talent Mission. What is this particular India AI Talent Mission? This particular mission is going to complement with the India AI mission. This is going to integrate AI across all the level. When we are talking about all the level, from the school to college, to all the sectors, it is going to get integrated. So from the very initial time period, you are going to get the exposure to artificial intelligence, and which is going to help you a lot as far as the capacity building is concerned. Then the National AI Literacy Program. So see, when India faced the COVID, obviously the entire world has faced the COVID, but when India faced this, India tried to switch towards the digitalization, and as a result of that, we have achieved significant stride as far as the UPI or the digital payment network is concerned. So this is giving us a lot of opportunity in order to utilize this particular situation and to do well in the future. So basically, National AI Literacy Program, not necessarily that in school only, even for those people who are not part of any particular formal educational structure, even let's say your parents maybe not going to school, but yes, they also want to learn about what is going on new in the technological field, and if there will be literacy program like this, they will also be able to utilize these particular tasks for the betterment, right? Then offering attractive grants and the salaries. See, there will be obviously Indian population jahan par there are certain people who are well equipped with the artificial intelligence. Give them better salaries, give them better opportunities. Let's help them in order to develop the better models for the artificial intelligence. And also at the global level also, global level pe there have to be the collaboration with the global universities, global institutions, whether it is industry, academia collaboration, so at the global and at the national level. But for that, obviously, there will be a need for the attractive grants and the salaries and the needed due in order to ensure the better utilization of the artificial intelligence. Then the AI talent mission in collaboration with the India AI mission. So establishing the India open source AI common, obviously this particular thing is going to help that even the smaller firm who want to utilize the AI modules, now if there is a open source AI common, that module can be utilized by any firm in order to build up upon that. So her firm ko now no need to start from the very scratch, like starting from the very basic of the AI. Now they can build up upon all whatever is already existing. Last is operationalizing the federal national compute and the innovation grid. This is again utilization of this open source AI network. Suppose karo कि just I am giving you the example, a hypothetical example. There is a machine in order to, or this is a machine being utilized by doctors. Right. Now this particular machine which is being utilized by multiple doctors, now this machine costs let's say 2 crore, and in a district each and every hospital can't purchase this particular machine, but then there is a need, let's say the eye surgeon or maybe let's say a general surgeon, right? But that particular machine is needed. Now what these particular doctors decide, that we are the community of a doctor, let's say there are 15 doctor and this much number of surgeons are there, and they combinedly purchase this. Not necessarily they, let's say government facilitates that this particular machine will be available to all 15 doctors. Now all 15 doctors are taking care of their individual patients, right? Unke paas apne apne patients hai. Now whenever there is a need for surgery, they will book the appointment and they can utilize this particular machine. So the point here is that they have pooled this machine. That's how you can also get a federal national compute and the innovation grid, jahan par whatever processors are needed, GPUs are needed, those can be pooled, and the government is also focusing upon the resource pooling in order to enhance the capabilities. Ki us wajah se aisa na ho ki each and everyone have to have their own setups that can be utilized at the federal level or at the national level. So this is about the operationalizing federal national compute and innovation grid. I have tried to give you an idea through a generic example, right? Now when we talk about PYQ, again not exactly same, but artificial intelligence ka concept and its application is being asked by UPSC. So there can be the utilization of these particular application in different sectors. Like here it was asked from the perspective of health. Again, privacy wala aspect is there. So in that case, again you can assume that different other sectors mein, as the artificial intelligence ka role is getting increased, these questions can be further asked. Next question, government notifies the first greenhouse gas emission intensity target rules. So GS paper 3, conservation, environmental pollution, degradation, environmental impact assessment, then the economy perspectives, effect of liberalization, economic changes in the industrial policy, GS paper 2, government policies and intervention for the development. These are the important topics jahan par question पूछे जा सकते हैं. Generally it is related to the environment and ecology and sustainable utilization of the industries or the sustainable development, right? Now, what have been done by the government? So there have been the gas emission intensity that have been fixed for certain specific domains. For example, for as per the GEI Target Rules, the gas emission intensity target rules of 2025 for the sectors like aluminium. What are these sectors? These are the aluminium, cement, pulp and paper, and also the chlor-alkali sectors, which is like for the manufacturing of chlorine, manufacturing of other hydroxides, right? So these greenhouse gas emission intensity target rules, or specifically with respect to the carbon emission intensity target rules that are being decided. Now, what is the objective when you are deciding any specific target rules? That means you try to cover, you want to curb the emission of these particular greenhouse gases, specifically the carbon dioxide, in order to ensure the better approach to prevent the greenhouse gas emission and further increasing the temperature or the global temperature. Now, what is the gas emission intensity? Suppose karo, in order to produce 1 unit of anything, how much amount of greenhouse gases are emitting? This particular thing is known as the greenhouse gas emission intensity or the gas emission intensity. So let's say for production of, let's say, 1 ton of aluminium, how much amount of carbon dioxide and the other greenhouse gas emitted, this will be the emission intensity or the gas emission intensity, right? Now objective we have discussed. Now what are the rules? Now the rules are being governed as per the carbon credit and the trading scheme CCTS 2023. What is this particular carbon credit and trading scheme? So see, let's say this is a scheme जहां पर there will be two type of provision. Certain companies जहां पर there will be mandatory provisions. So for these particular firms, they have to reduce GHG emission intensity को करना mandatory है. Means, let's say certain most polluting sector like here government have decided for aluminium, cement, pulp and paper and the chloralkali, right? So in these that will be mandatory. Now what is the condition? Suppose karo it, if it is an industry of aluminium and if it is said that roughly 100 will be your gas emission intensity, ki itne tak you can utilize. Beyond that if you will go, then you have to pay the compensation. So if 100 units tak, if it limits, then it is following the provision. Now, in 100 units, may be a chance that it limits to 98. There is a difference of 2 unit बचता है, right? These 2 units will be provided to this firm जिसपे ये mandatory था in the form of carbon credit. And these carbon credit, like a share that is traded on the trading platform, these carbon credits will also be traded and they can get the equivalent amount of these particular carbon credit through those people who want to purchase these particular carbon credit. Now you might ask, who is going to purchase? Now another industry which is, let's say, emitting 102 unit but the allowed was 100 unit. So यहाँ पर they are exceeding by 2 unit. Now in order to comply with this 100 emit करना था, आपने 2 unit extra किए. So this particular unit have to purchase 2 units. So 2 units will be purchased from the trading platform and this उसके लिए obviously they will give money in return. So this money will be obviously available to the company which has complied. So this is the mandatory, and then there are also the voluntary. For those firms जहां पर it is not mandatory but they are still reducing it voluntarily and they are also awarded with the carbon credit. So through this they are going to get the carbon credit and they can also trade their carbon credit on this particular platform under the scheme carbon credit and trading scheme. Now which is the enforcement authority in this case? It is the Central Pollution Control Board is the enforcement authority, right? Now what is the mechanism? So let's discuss about the mechanism. What is the mechanism? First, there will be certain entities who are going to be compliant. Now assume the example that we have discussed in the last part. In that particular example, let's say you are being provided with 100 unit ka target and you have to limit the emission by 100 unit only. In that particular case, they have to limit the addition, limit the emission of carbon, and carbon credit will be earned in case if they are able to limit the emission of carbon. So 100 unit में if they only emit 98, they get the 2 unit. So these are the compliant entities जो comply कर रही हैं इसमें. Now which are the units जिन पे mandatory है अभी? We have seen the aluminium is there, cement is there, there is pulp and paper, and then there is chlor-alkali sector. Who is going to issue these carbon credit? BE. Where they are going to be traded? They are going to be traded as per the platform provided under the CCTS, right? Now there will be also the non-compliant entities, those entities which are exceeding the emission. Now those which are exceeding the emission, they have to either buy the certificate or pay the compensation. So the additional certificate they have to purchase or pay a environmental compensation. What will be the environmental compensation? अगर वो purchase नहीं कर पाते हैं because of anything, it will be twice the average carbon credit price. तो carbon credit का जो price चल रहा है उसका twice will be the penalty on them. So those who are not complying with the order, they have to pay the compensation. Obviously that particular compensation will be then taken by government and that particular compensation will be utilized for the methodologies in order to carbon capture, sequestering and all these activities. Now what are the significances? So the significances, first is the market based compliance. So see, if you are complying, the transparency is there on the portal. You will be able to see whether how much less you are emitting, how much more you are emitting, and in that case that will be ensuring that it will be a market based system. It's not like a closed system जहां पर किसी को पता नहीं चल रहा है. So operationalize the country's domestic carbon market and the carbon trading. So it will also ensure the carbon trading, and this will help companies which are doing well as far as the carbon capture and sequestration is concerned, or lesser emission. In that particular case, it is going to help them. Then transparency. So for registration and documentation, they have to do under the India Carbon Market portal. So there will be a proper inventory, there will be a proper portal, there will be, you can check the compliance, you can check the exceeding units, right? So all these things will be available on the public portal, so people can also watch this. The revenues for sustainability. So for example, for afforestation task, for example, maybe any other conservation project, this money can be utilized as the environmental compensation जो carbon trading के trade के through आ रही है, right? Lastly, it supports the India's climate goal. Obviously, when we are limiting the target of the carbon emission intensity, companies are going to put forward certain technological aspects, and these technological aspects are going to ensure comparatively better, or we can say better compliance or the lesser emission. When there will be lesser emission, the intended nationally determined contribution as per them, India have complied till now with the Paris Agreement. India can further achieve a lot under this particular agreement. So these all are the significance of this particular mechanism, right? Now we have discussed about the carbon credit and trading scheme. So it was developed as the first domestic carbon market. It is in line with the India's nationally determined contribution NDCs, right? So the Energy Conservation Act was the act under which this was done, carbon credit and the trading scheme, and the specifically the carbon credit wala mechanism. So there are two mechanisms. First is the compliance, जिन्हें comply करना है, that is mandatory, and then offset mechanism for those companies for which it is voluntary. For example, here if I talk about this particular article, compliance mechanism is for those which are like aluminium, then cement, then there is pulp and paper, then there is chloralkali, right? So unke liye it is mandatory. For others who want to reduce it, they can do it based upon their average कि कितना emission कर सकते हैं, and then if they are able to get comparatively lesser emission done, they can get the carbon credit. So for them it is voluntary mechanism. So the PYQ includes this particular question in 2023. Carbon markets are likely to be one of the most widespread tool fight against the climate change. Yes, carbon market transfer the resources from the private sector to state. So it is transferring the resources from private sector, means those companies which are not able to comply, they have to give the money compensation to the state. One such manner it is correct, right? Both of them are correct. Now there are two options. You have to tell me that from A and B which particular statement is correct. You have to give me the correct answer. Last article from the detailed perspective is Southern releases the quarterly microfinance report, which is part of the annual Bharat Microfinance report. So here the topic like microfinance from the economy perspective is very, very important. GS paper 3, inclusive growth and the issues arising out from it, Indian economy, it is important topic. And also since the government is a concerned party, so welfare scheme for the vulnerable section and all, you can relate, because a lot of microfinance related schemes, whether it is the Mudra Yojana and all, these are important welfare schemes, right? Now what this particular report is highlighting? So it is highlighting certain important thing from the perspective of microfinance. Now before going into the report's detail, what is basically the microfinance? So what do you mean by this term microfinance? So see, micro depicts for certain smaller things. So in that case, it is the financial inclusion or the financial access to those people who are comparatively either the low income people जो कि traditional financial instruments को access नहीं कर रहे हैं, या those people who are to some extent and to some reason are excluded from the traditional financial systems or financial inclusion. So for the low income individual also, or for those groups which are typically excluded. Now you will say कि ऐसा कौन सा ग्रुप है जो टिपिकली एक्सक्लूडेड होता है? We can take the example of women. Majority of time you will see that they are not having the bank account, specifically in the rural areas. Now, with the arrival of the schemes like Jan Dhan, Aadhaar and Mobile, there have been a lot of new accounts that were done or created. But before that, it was a major issue. And that's why in order to provide support to those people who are either low income individual or the group which are typically excluded, उनके लिए microfinance is the tool. और उन्हें फाइनेंस करना या टू सपोर्ट देम फाइनेंशियली इज द माइक्रोफाइनेंस एंड दैट पर्टिकुलर टूल्स आर द माइक्रोफाइनेंस टूल्स. नाउ what is the reports highlight? It has highlighted that there is a sharp rise in the loan delinquencies. That means when the loan is taken, either there have been default on the loan, either there have been delay in the payment and all these things that has risen over a period of time across the microfinance sector in the last financial year 2024-25. So this has been a trend. Now why this is happening? There is a very simple and clear reasons. First, there is a rural distress. Matlab, either there is, let's say, some kind of drought-like situation or maybe any other issues that lead to people not able to pay. Or there are weather shocks, excessive monsoon or lack of monsoon, limited financial literacy. They have taken loan, but the conditions and terms they have not seen, because of which the loan ka jo interest hai that increased, and now they are not able to pay that particular principal and the interest wala amount. So there are multiple reasons that the report is highlighting. Now what is the importance of the microfinance? When we have seen that it is the finance specifically available to that sectors, whether it is low income people or the people who are typically excluded, the significance is basically it is helping to ensure financial inclusion, whether it is the deprived section, whether it is the scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, maybe the differentially abled people or the marginalized population that are going to get included in the financial sector. Basically they are going to get the advantage. Next is the rural penetration. Now what sectors I have talked about, their population is mainly concentrated in the tier 3, tier 4 cities or the rural areas. In that cases, these people are under distress because they are not able to access the financial resources, and hence the high rural client population is there with the microfinance sector, whether it is through the self-help group or through any other type of NGOs or any other type of civil society organization, but this is the reality. Further, there is a empowerment of women. So 88% of SHGs are women-led, and जहाँ पर जो loan लेते हैं, they are related to women's. Basically, the self-help groups are the group which is coming together for a common purpose, specifically including the women, right? So empowerment of women is also there because women are also coming into the fold of the conventional or the traditional financial sectors. Now, when we are talking about the microfinance, there are obviously certain challenges that this particular sector is presently facing. देखो, significance we have discussed that it is doing financial inclusion, it is providing the loans to those people who were not able to access the credit, it is supporting women, it is also diversifying the portfolio. But then there are a lot of issues that this particular sector is right now facing. What are these issues? First is the asset quality deterioration. What is this asset quality deterioration? When you give loan to the people, for the bank it is an asset, right? Bank is going to get the return out of it, but many a time what happens that they are not getting the money returned, right? Sometimes the state exempts that particular amount. So in that cases, these portfolio are at risk, jahan par they think that this money is not going to come back. Many instances pe it happens. So in that particular cases, this is the portfolio at risk. And generally when these particular loans are provided collateral free, then this is comparatively high risk wala asset. And in that case, the portfolio at risk is getting worsened, means ye aur बढ़ raha hai that portfolio at risk. And that's why the amount that bank wants from the people who have taken the money from bank is increasing. That means the NPA will also going to increase. Next is the state delinquencies, right? Many instances pe it happens that the state itself is showing the trend that they are not enforcing the rules properly. So in the case Bihar was mentioned in this particular report. It has performed comparatively worse. So how it is being mentioned? So it has said कि highest amount of loans जो outstanding है, which is not being paid in the microfinance वाला aspect, that is from Bihar, and also the highest rate of default. तो default भी सबसे ज़्यादा यहीं से हुआ है, right? And in these particular cases, again, it shows that certain states are showing more delinquencies. Lastly, the operational and the financial headwinds. That means certain operational or the financial issues. So it is being mentioned that the staff and the client retention is low. Staff retention is low because many a time if your microfinance institute is not functioning well, how you are going to pay money to them, right? And that way my staff is going to leave. Apart from that, even client, if suppose karo, if that particular client, दो तरीके के client है, one who is complying, another who is not paying the loan. Now one who is repaying the loan again wants the loan, second who is not repaying the loan, and in that particular case, जब ये repay नहीं कर रहा है, how you are going to get money in order to give another loan to this person? And when there is no proper amount of money available in order to give money to the people who actually deserves, in that case obviously the bank portfolio is going to get down. ठीक है? Then rising funding cost, again the funding cost is similar कि भाई when you are not having now money to give to those people who are complying with your rules, now you need to buy money or you need to take money from outside institutions. वहां पर आपको और पैसा देना पड़ेगा as an interest. Means आपका खुद का पैसा फंसा हुआ है, your entire money is stuck and you have to borrow money, so that cost also adds up in that. So वो भी बढ़ रहा है. Apart from that, declining profitability, when these particular things are there, the profitability kahan se aayega? How you will be profitable in that particular case? So these are the issues, whether it is the staff, client, whether it is funding cost, whether it is profitability, all of them are showing issues. Now what government has done? Government has provided with certain schemes in order to promote the microfinance. The SHG bank linkage program, so on the pilot basis it was started in 1992 itself, where the self-help group are going to get money. There will be bank which is going to give money, and to the banks it will be by the NABARD and the other agencies who are going to give the money. So SHG bank linkage program, jahan par SHGs are going to get money from the formal institution. Now what government is now doing and promoting is to give money to those institutions on a priority who are comparatively productive. तो assets को अपने more productive aspects पर लेकर जाओ. लोन्स का पोर्टफोलियो को डाइवर्स करो. यू हैव टू डाइवर्स योर पोर्टफोलियो ऑल्सो. नेक्स्ट इज मुद्रा योजना, प्रधानमंत्री मुद्रा योजना, वेयर it will be provided as a collateral free loan to the people in the form of the smaller loan, then the medium amount loan, then the large amount loan, like the Shishu, Tarun, and all these type of loans are being provided under the Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana. Lastly is refinancing supports to the microfinance institutions by NABARD. So when these microfinance institutions sometimes faces the fund crunch, they also need money. So this particular refinancing support is being provided by NABARD in order to improve their financial health so that they will be able to deliver what task is expected from their side. Clear? So this is regarding the microfinance. Now with this we have completed the major news. Now the places in news, which is Barbados. Now see, when we are talking about very small or the island type countries, generally the geography is important because उस country की geography के अंदर within their territorial boundary generally no much important geographical features are there, but the location is important, the region is important, right? So today there is the Barbados, which is in news. The capital city is Bridgetown. Now generally you might have heard of this particular country in the terms of cricket, like the West Indian team mein many people are from even Barbados. Now the Lok Sabha speaker led an Indian parliamentary delegation to the National Assembly of Barbados on the sidelines of the 16th Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference, right? So that's why it was in news. Now the location is there, Southeast Caribbean island, right? So Caribbean Sea. So this is the region here. Below it is South America, above it is North America, it is the Central American countries, these are the Caribbean countries. So here you can see above Venezuela, it is the Barbados, right? So this is the location of Barbados. Where it is situated in the Caribbean Sea. On the eastern side, we can say the southeastern side, it is there. From the Venezuela, it is in the northern side, it is situated. So located near the Lesser Antilles, right? So here near this particular location there is Lesser Antilles, and nearby this there is Barbados situated. It is also the member of the CARICOM, which is the Caribbean community, which is associated with the Latin America and the Caribbean. Apart from that, Commonwealth of Nations, and this particular parliamentary conference was of this. Now the highest point is mentioned as the Mount Hilabe, right? So this is the highest point, means the highest peak of this particular island country, formed by the sedimentary and the coral deposit. So iske aspas, and this particular country structure is also the coral structure. So it is the group of the coral reefs through which this particular country was formed, or the region was formed. This is regarding the Barbados. Now, having discussed about this, let's now discuss the quick updates briefly. First in this is regarding the Nobel Peace Prize of 2025. So this was much awaited Peace Prize, because entire world was looking that who is going to get the prize, and on the contrary to the expected, it has got by the Maria Corina Machado, right? So she has got this particular Nobel Prize in order to show the struggle towards ensuring democracy in the Venezuela. So for her struggle to achieve a just and peaceful transition from the dictatorship to the democracy. Now, still there have been a comparative dictatorship, we can say, under the leadership of Nicolas Maduro. Now, when we talk about the Peace Prize, though the prize has been started since 1901, and after the World War II, there have been certain criteria on basis of which this particular award is being provided. Arms control and disarmament, peace negotiations, democracy and the human rights, and lastly, creating a better organized and the more peaceful world. So these are the criteria after the World War II, these were provided. Now from the side of India, Mother Teresa in 1979 and Kailash Satyarthi, very recent one, 2014 may have got the Nobel Peace Prize. Next is regarding the Sawalkote hydroelectric project. So this is on the Chenab River, this particular project that have been now approved by the Union government. So the Apex Committee of the Environment Ministry has accorded the environmental clearance to the Sawalkote hydroelectric project. Now what megawatt kitna hai, not that important, but it is a run of the river project. What is the run of the river project? Jahan par you are not specifically doing the damming, and then the water is allowed to run, and in that only you are generating the electricity, right? So the hydroelectric project located on the Chenab River, which will be high chances to be asked. The river is asked, maybe the region Ramban and the Udhampur district of the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, this is situated. Now, the Indus Water Treaty, which was suspended or kept in abeyance after the 22nd April ka Pahalgam terror attack, and after that it was suspended. So after this is the first time the project have been approved under the in the river, which was part of the previously Indus Water Treaty. So that's why it is important. Next is regarding the National Green Hydrogen Mission. So the Ministry of New and the Renewable Energy, MNRE, have formally recognized 3 major ports as the green hydrogen hubs. Green hydrogen hub means there will be industrial setup, there will be export import, there will be a lot of technological hubs that will be set up regarding the hydrogen or the green hydrogen production. Which are these ports? Deen Dayal Port Authority, Gujarat, V.O. Chidambaram Port Authority, Tamil Nadu, and the Paradip Port Authority, Odisha. These are the 3 ports which are provided with the or recognized with the green hydrogen hubs, right? It is expected to catalyze the industrial participation and also attract the green investment, innovation in the clean fuel technology. Because see, this will help in reducing the transportation cost, because when you are going to create the hub at port, the transportation will be comparatively easy to other countries or other regions. And also it will catalyze the industrial participation, green investment and the innovation in the clean fuel and the technology. It was announced in January 2023. Lastly, the Make in India Global Hub production. Make India a global hub for the production of the green hydrogen, because when you are doing the investment, when you are doing funding, when you are doing the technological utilization, it is going to put India at comparatively higher pedestal as far as the development of the green hydrogen is concerned. Now the production capacity kitna badhana hai? 5 million metric ton of the per annum of the green hydrogen by 2030. This is the target regarding the National Green Hydrogen Mission. Next is regarding the quantum random number generation. Now the researchers from the Raman Research Institutes have developed the new quantum technique to generate and certify truly random number. Now see, why this random number is important? Because we know that sometimes in order to enhance the security feature, you might have used certain device which is known as the VPN or the virtual private network. Cisco banata tha ek, abhi bhi banata hai, right? So that is generating certain random number. Now how that random number is generated, that is based upon certain algorithm. But if that algorithm can be cracked by certain quantum computing tools, वो तो compromise हो जाएगा आपका system. That person who is having access to that algorithm, that can put that 6-digit, 7-digit or 8-digit random number, and that can utilize or hack your system. Now in that particular case, in order to boost the digital encryption, authentication and the cyber security, this quantum random number generation has been utilized, which will be truly random. मतलब पहले जो systems थे, they were the pseudonymous random. मतलब that will be based upon certain algorithm. If you crack the algorithm, you will get ki what will be the next number. But in this case, it will be the true random number, which will be based upon the random phenomena. For example, natural and the physical processes which are completely random. For example, let's say radioactivity, or maybe the weather events, or any other thing which appears to be random. So based upon these things, through quantum computing, this quantum random number generation has been now found out. Okay? So this is going to have the application in the cyber security, digital security, in many other fields, including the IT, defense, etc. Next is regarding the Siddhi community, which is a tribal community. So it is a PVTG's particularly vulnerable tribal group, which has achieved the literacy rate over 72%. Generally, the issue with the tribal community that the literacy rate is comparatively lesser. That's why this community ka achievement of the 72% literacy rate is comparatively remarkable. So it is also known as the Habshi or Badsha. It is the Indo-Afro-Indian community. Matlab, they were resident or the people who were from the East Africa, and then they migrated from the 6th century onwards towards the western coast of India, specifically the region of Gujarat, Karnataka and Maharashtra. Now later on 14th, 15th century mein, and later on 16th century mein, through the colonization wala route, through the slave trade, they were being traded towards India and they were being brought to India also, right? So traditionally they were hunter-gatherers, and now mainly they are the agricultural laborers or the daily wage workers, believed to arrive in the 7th century and later on in the 15th, 16th century also. Recognized as the scheduled tribe and also under the category of the PVTG's particularly vulnerable tribal group. This is regarding the Siddhi community. Last is regarding the Bamiyan Buddha. So Bamiyan Buddha, that was one of the tallest Buddha structure that were available, that were created in the Gandhara style, that is available in the Bamiyan region, Bamiyan Valley of the central Afghanistan. But then when the Taliban 1.0 came to power, they have destroyed this Bamiyan Buddha, right? And these Bamiyan Buddha then were ceased to exist, right? So they were built in 6th century, exemplified in the Gandhara Buddhist art, destroyed during the Taliban's first rule in the 2001. Bamiyan Valley after that was declared in 2003 as the UNESCO's World Heritage Site. Now these were the two monumental size Buddha. Obviously feet are not important, 115 and 174 feet tall. Recently there were discussions going on regarding Bamiyan Buddha and all, and that's why that was in news. So with this, we have completed the entire News Today discussion for the 11th of October. Now there must be certain questions that were on your screen right now. Try to attempt those questions and also visit the Digital Current Affairs portal in order to get the maximum from the current affairs perspective. So I hope whatever things I have tried to discuss in detail and also briefly is clear to you, and now practice the questions which were provided and also the other questions. Thank you everyone. Have a great day.